Will a municipal merger move forward? I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Local Edition. With me this hour is Councilman Robert Davis of the Borough of Chester. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hi, Jill. How are you?
I'm doing well. And the two communities that we're talking about are Chester Borough and Chester Township. These were once the same community. They split apart in the 1920s, and a few years ago, talks started again to potentially merge them.
That's correct. That's correct, Jill. We are the hole in the donut as Chester Borough, and Chester Township, of course, surrounds us completely. So that's probably one of the reasons why the efficiencies might be a better efficiency with a merger.
So let's talk a little bit about where we are in this process. Money was actually allocated by the state. There has been a state role, the state of New Jersey's role in this actual negotiation process, this discussion, if you will. Talk to us a little bit about what's happened over the past 2 years and where we stand at this point.
Well, the Commission started its efforts in 2009, and we've met each month, and in some cases a little bit more often than that, to move forward the process. And we've been working with CGR, our consultant, which is a consultant from New York State, and the DCA, which is our Department of Community Affairs from New Jersey, to move the process forward, to start to cover the topics, to do a study, to see where we are right now with the current budgets, and then to move forward with planning for where we'll be in the future.
So a lot of issues to address, because you're talking about communities, one of about 1,600 residents, one of about 7,000. One community has a budget less than half of the other community.
That's correct.
A lot of financial issues to discuss.
Yes, there are. And the financial issues is one of the major things that would bring about a merger. It's one of the major reasons. We're in a tough economy right now, and if we can save the residents' dollars, that's an important topic.
Now, there has been the state's role in this process in the past year or so, but what happens moving forward as these negotiations, these discussions, will they continue? Will the state continue to be involved in light of the fact that a lot of areas of the state budget have actually are potentially being cut?
Sure, Jill. The state has given us three basic ideas in terms of how they're going to support us. One is they're funding the grant that we're spending the money on currently for the studies. The second area of funding that they have advised us previously they would provide has to do with the transition costs. Then the third area has to do with if there's a tax imbalance between one town or the other, that they will cover the difference for all the residences as long as they own that home.
So let's focus a little bit on the timeline at this point. Both councils would actually have to vote on this decision, and then a referendum would potentially, at this point anyway, this is the timeline, be put on the ballot by November.
That's correct, Jill, but in addition, the Commission has got to vote to move this forward to the councils. You're correct, then the councils vote, and by August, so that we can meet the referendum or the election guidelines for November.
Is the bottom line, though, to make this fair for residents of both communities?
The bottom line is to, yes, you're correct. It's to be fair. It's also looking at economies of scale. You can look at governments and say, well, if you combined two governments into one, there'd be savings that would occur.
So is that something that these studies will actually focus on? We talked about the economic impact, but what about the other areas? What about what happens to the councils, for example? What happens to your zoning regulations? All of the different rules that may vary by municipality.
Sure. Jill, the issues come down to a lot of quality of life issues, which would be how is my town and what are the amenities I receive in my town, and what's going to be the priorities in the future. So the residents have got to make choices that are going to be based on A, their pocketbook, but B, their quality of life issues. And yes, there are zoning issues and other issues that would have to be taken care of before this could all come to a head.
Is that why it's important to eventually have this as a referendum on the ballot?
That's correct, Jill. And I think that anytime you do something this big, you need all the residents to have their say-so. And we like to look at ourselves as a small democracy inside of a big republic. And as a result, we want the residents to really air it out and to have their vote.
All right. Thank you so much. And you're looking for the people to participate and let you know their opinions too.
Yes, Jill. Thank you.
We've been talking with Robert Davis. I'm Jill Horner.